Right, welcome to you all, and welcome to Rachel, who is about to be airlifted onto our very well equipped desert island, complete with CD player and DVD setup. So, Rach, do you want to start off just by giving us the potted history of your life in 1 minute or less?
Okay. I was born in Gibraltar because my dad was in the RAF.
Oh, okay.
And we lived all around the UK mostly until I was 9. And then I went to boarding school at Methody for a year. Banter. And then we moved to just very close to Belvoir, like Royal Lodge, which is just up top of the Beach Hill Road there. And we moved there when I was 9, 10. No, I went to boarding when I was 8, moved there when I was 9. Anyway, then within about 6 months, Dad died, which was miserable. And then I think I was confirmed in Belvoir Parish at about the age of 14 because Tom put letters in the letterboxes. With some people that I now see on the estate. Okay, as other mums and dads, and I go, oh, you were in my confirmation class a long time ago. I didn't really make friends, if you know what I mean, apart from this guy called, oh no, that's different. Anyway, never mind. Then Summer Madness was really good for me, and I went to Belvoir for a little bit, and then I went to Wells with Adrian and Janice for a long time, and I did a gap year with Bristol Vineyard. I did a theology degree at Queen's with BBC, Belfast Bible College in Dunmurry. And then I worked in the care sector with people with learning disabilities since then. Married Daniel, and we spent 2 years on the peninsula and then a year in Romania together.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe I should research these things before the
Buenos Aires, good evening in Romanian. So there you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then we.
Smart, yeah. Can you speak Romanian? Okay. Yes. No. And hello. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I taught the nursery kids, so I know my colors really well.
Okay. Right.
But yeah, and then what happened? Then we came back like penniless and had to live with Betty for a while, my mummy. And then and Wells were very good to us at that time, and we had Reuben, and we've lived in Belfast ever since. And then we had Gideon and moved to Belvoir, which is our first time buying a house, just like the autumn before Adrian and Janice got there, like the September time.
And when did the whole Macathon, I mean, that's not all that you are by any manner of means, but that's kind of the way that most people in Belvoir probably know you as the Macathon lady. When did that all enter the world?
Yeah, so being a support worker for adults with learning disabilities, first with a charity called Prospects, and now with a charity called L'Arche. L'Arche Belfast is in the Upper Ormer Road down there near Rosetta there. And so it's Macathon is like a very simplified form of BSL that comes with pictures and images that help people with communication difficulties to understand and express language.
Brilliant. Would there be Macathon for desert island discs? Is that too?
This is like when Paul asked me to do Days of Elijah and Macathon. I really don't know what dry bones is coming to
Yes, there are some words that are hard to put a picture to. Or is that probably that's too?
This is land. I'm sure there is a word for desert or dry. So we dry land, and then
dry land. Okay.
Music. So music is.
Okay, like conducting.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's for So what's land?
You just sort of here.
Yeah.
Macathon training online is terrible.
Okay.
This is land,
right.
You know. So if you're doing Genesis 1,
desert
you
islands
land.
Discs. Is that right? Well, we'll say that's close enough.
Yeah, you could do a wee tree there, wee palm tree.
Okay, I like it. Brilliant. Right. Perfect. So on your desert island, you've got a book, a song, and a movie, and a verse. So shall we launch in with your book?
Yes. Now I would like to point out I hate having favorites. So this is like what I could cope with on a desert island.
Okay.
I think a lot of my choices would have been quite somber or be filled with pathos. But then I picked a book that's full of pathos, and then I was like, well, the movie can't be full of pathos then, because then I'll just crumble and cry. Do you know what I mean? And it had to be quite a happy song too. So anyway, it doesn't matter. This is not like my all-time favorite book, but it's one of my all-time favorite books, and it's what I would cope with on a desert island with. That makes sense. Okay. So this book is called The Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver. She's an American writer, and she's writing a story about an American missionary family who traveled to the Congo in the 60s to be missionaries. And the book is told, as Susan and I were saying before, in the voices of all the women in the family, and the men never have a voice, as it were, although they are quoted in dialogue. Do you know what I mean?
Presumably are the dominant characters in terms of the culture that they're working in.
It's just so well done, because a missionary man, so the male, the man of the family has all these daughters and the wife, and they all just follow him. So it's actually quite powerful to have the women tell the story. It's and it makes me think of, so the father is the minister, the man who says we're going to the Congo. And it makes me think of like Hudson Taylor and who's the man that went to India?
Now we're all on the spot.
Hudson Taylor's the missionary who went to China, and then the guy that went to India, I don't know, I can't remember, Baptist missions in the 1700s or whatever. But like his wife had a horrendous time, because like she was stood on the dock in England, and he was like, I'm going to preach to the masses of uncivilized people in India. And she was like, and then she eventually went with him and lost loads of children to like, diphtheria and typhoid, all these horrendous experiences as a woman, being led by the man. Anyway, so in this novel, the dad he's very devout and very zealous, but also very punishment centric in terms of anything bad that happens is God's judgment. And he lacks a considerable amount of pastoral care.
Okay, right. No bears no resemblance to the ministry team of Beaver.
Definitely not. So, I mean, he's a Baptist preacher from the United States in the 60s, and but it's also a big metaphor, because it's told. So he's married to his wife Orleana, and then they have 4 daughters. Rachael is the oldest, and she's really self-centered, materialistic. And then there's twins called Leah and Ada, and Ada has a disability. She has a weaker side of her body since birth, and she chooses not to speak, even though she's very clever, and so she writes things down, and she speaks in palindromes. What's that thing that you're doing and Joel can do where they talk backwards?
That backwards and forwards are the same, palindrome.
Yeah. So she talks like that in her writing, but she never actually speaks out loud. And then there's Ruth May, who's like a little 5-year-old, and she's just a wee dote and just everyone's darling. So it's a big metaphor. The story is a big metaphor for how we, as any wealthy white Westerners, might feel to know that our fathers, not our direct fathers, but our ancestors, our male ancestors, the patriarchy of our past, of our genealogy and all that, what we enjoy now, our privilege now, the wealth and the education, our status, our middle classness and all that is done on the backs of colonialism. And the cost of all that, and it's playing out that really. How do you feel about that? And how this dad is the personification of arrogant colonialist religious views. And then the daughters are all the 4 different reactions to it, I suppose.
And then presumably then, if this is your choice of a not too heavy and depressing book to have on your desert islands, then there must be some kind of glimmer of hope in the way that the daughters deal with it all. Is that? I laugh at Rachael being so. And my other favorite book is probably My Family and Other Animals. It's kind of a bit like that, like Gerald Dahl's sense of we're all on an island and we're all really eccentric and we're all bananas and we all struggle to get on, and we don't see eye to eye, that sort of thing.
but yeah, the characters are all brilliant, and I really love them. And Ada is a particular favorite, and she ends well. Like, I'm happy for her ending, you know, and I'm really happy for Leah's ending as well. That they're the heroines of the story, you know. It's really, really good, you know. And yeah, sorry, I'll stop rambling.
Right. Well, yes. Do you want to read us out a bit of it and tell us what's going on? And
So this is them in the Congo, in the jungle, living in a village, and they've been trying to convert the village for a long time, or the dad has anyway. And some of the daughters have made some friends. And in the middle of the night, catastrophe strikes through a form of horrendous, the sort of thing you would see on like nearly died in the jungle sort of stories on dreadful TV shows. So I'll go. So this is Leah talking. She's the non-disabled twin of Ada. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. This awful night is the worst we've ever known. The Nsongonya. They came on us like a nightmare. Nelson, bang, bang, banging on the back door, got tangled up with my sleep, so that even after I was awake, the next hours had the unsteady presence of a dream. Before I even knew where I was, I found myself pulled along by somebody's hand in the dark, and a horrible fiery sting sloshing up my calves. We were wading through very hot water, I thought, but it couldn't be water. So I tried to ask the name of the burning liquid that had flooded our house. No, for we were already outside. Whatever had flooded the whole world. Nsongonya, they kept shouting, les fourmis, and cor dormi. Ants. We were walking on, surrounded, enclosed, enveloped, being eaten by ants. Every surface was covered and boiling, and the path like black flowing lava in the moonlight. Dark, bulbous tree trunks seized and bulged. The grass had become a field of dark daggers, standing upright, churning and crumpling in on themselves. We walked on ants and ran on them, releasing their vinegary smells with a quiet, weird night. Hardly anyone spoke. We just ran as fast as we could alongside our neighbors. Adults carried babies and goats. Children carried pots of food and dogs, and younger brothers and sisters. The whole village of Kalanga. I thought of Mama Muzanna. Would her sluggish sons carry her? Crowded together, we moved down the road like a rushing stream till we reached the river, and there we stopped. All of us shifting from foot to foot, slapping some people moaning in pain, but only the babies shrieking and wailing out loud. Strong men sloshed in slow motion through waist-deep water, dragging their boats, while the rest of us waited our turn to get in someone's canoe. Bine, where is your family? I jumped. The person beside me was Anatole. I don't know. I don't really know where anybody is. I just ran. I was still waking up, and it struck me now with force that I should have been looking out for my family. I'd thought to worry about Madame Mwanza, but not my own crippled twin. A moan rose out of me. Oh God, what is it? I don't know where they are. Oh dear God. Ada will get eaten alive. Ada and Ruth May. I'll find them. Stay here until I come back for you. That was the end of Leah. Then Rachel says, thought I had died and gone to hell, but it's worse than that. I'm alive in hell. While everybody was running from the house, I cast around in a frenzy trying to think what to save. It was so dark I could hardly see, but I had a very clear presence of mind. I only had time to save one precious thing, something from home. Not my clothes, there wasn't time, and not the Bible. It didn't seem worth saving at that moment, so help me God. It had to be my mirror. Mother was screaming at us, screaming us out the door with the very force of her lungs, and I turned round and shoved straight past her and went back, knowing what I had to do. I grabbed my mirror. Out on the road, it was a melee of shoving strangers touching and shoving at me. The night of 10,000 smells. The bugs were all over me, eating my skin, starting at my ankles and crawling up under my pajamas. Father was somewhere nearby because I could hear him yelling about Moses and the Egyptians and the river running with blood and whatnot. We were running for the river. At first, I didn't know why or where, but it didn't matter. It caused me to recall something I'd read once. If ever you're in a crowded theatre and there's a fire, you should stick out your elbows and raise up your feet. How to Survive 101 Calamities was the name of that book, which covered what to do in any dire situation, from elevators to train wrecks. Thank goodness I'd read it, because now I was in a jam and I knew just what to do. I stuck my elbows very hard into the ribs of the people who were crushing in around me and kind of wedged myself in. Then I was more or less picked up on my feet, and it worked like a charm. Instead of getting trampled, I simply floated like a stick in a river, carried along on everyone else's power. It took me a moment to realize people were climbing into boats and escaping. I screamed to be put in a boat, but they all ignored me. No matter how hard I screamed, Father was over yonder trying to get people to pray for salvation, and no one was listening to him either. Then I spotted Mama Mwanza being carried on her husband's back towards the boats. They went right past me. She did deserve help, poor thing, but I personally have a delicate constitution. That was Rachel's point of view.
I love the way you give her the voice of the sort of bossy.
And then I'm going to skip past Ruth May because she's 5 and she's basically just scared. And then Ada says, "Live was I ere I saw evil." This is the lady who's disabled, and this is the only time you hear her speak in the whole book. Now I am on the other side of that night and can tell the story, so perhaps I am still alive, although I feel no sign of it. And perhaps it was not evil I saw, but merely the way of all hearts when fear has stripped off the husk of kind pretensions. Is it evil to look at your child and then heft something else in your arms and turn away? Mother, I can read you backward and forward. Abandon. Nod, nab, abandon. I should have been devoured in my bed for all I seemed to be worth. In one moment alive and in the next left behind. Chugged from our beds by someone or something, the ruckus banging and shouting outside. My sisters leapt up and screaming were gone. I could not make a sound for the ants in my throat. I dragged myself out to moonlight and found a nightmare vision of dark red boiling ground. Only my mother stood still. There she was, planted before me in the path, rising on thin legs out of the rootless, devouring earth. In her arms, crosswise, like a load of kindling, Ruth May. I spoke out loud, the only time. Help me. Your father, she said. I think he must have gone on ahead with Rachael. I wish he'd waited, honey. He'd carry you, but Rachael was... I don't know how she'll get through this. Leah can take care of herself. She can. You can't. You can't. I spoke again. Please. She studied me for a moment, weighing my life. Then nodded, shifted the load in her arms and turned away. Come on, she commanded over her shoulder. I tried to stay close behind her, but even under the weight of Ruth May, she was sinuous and quick in the crowd. My heels were nipped from behind. Then I was down. Someone's bare foot was on my calf and then my back, and I was being trampled. A crush of feet on my chest. I rolled over again and again, covering my head with my arms. I found my way to my elbows, raised myself up, grabbing with my strong left hand at legs that dragged me forward. I did not know who it was that lifted me over the crowd and set me down into the canoe with my mother. I had to turn quickly to see him as he retreated. It was Anatole. We crossed the river together, mother and daughter, facing each other, low in the boat's quiet center. She tried to hold my hands, but could not. For the breadth of a river, we stared without speaking. That night, I could still wonder why she did not help me. Live was I ere I saw evil. Now I do not wonder at all. That night marks my life's dark center, the moment when growing up ended and the long downward slope toward death began. The wonder to me now is that I thought myself worth saving. But I did. I did. I reached out and clung for life with my good left hand like a claw, grasping at moving legs to raise myself from the dirt, desperate to save myself in a river of people saving themselves. And if they chanced to look down and see me struggling underneath them, they saw that even the crooked girl believed her own life was precious. That is what it means to be a beast in the kingdom.
God, that's powerful stuff. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love that. And it's all about that.
So good.
I am worth saving. Weighing my life. What a phrase when she sees her mum weighing her life. Oh my goodness. Amazing.
Really good.
Yeah. So I mean, it resonates with, like, you know, the panic of the pandemic, and you know, suddenly all these do not resuscitate orders being offered to people with disabilities, and a lot of that stuff. But then, like, in the African context, you know, when a plague of some dreadful disease sweeps the village as well, and a lot of children die, and the women are crying, and then the minister's telling them, don't worry, they're in heaven because we baptized them and all, and then the mothers are going, yeah, but who's gonna care for me when I'm old? And he's like, how selfish you are. Gosh, these African women don't even attach themselves to their young, they don't even love them, you know. And it's not that, it's just like the practicalities are that in that panic situation, you know, logistics are cruelly important.
But that's amazing. Mm-hmm. So I can sort of see with your life and work and all of the rest of it, why that kind of has resonance and meaning. That's brilliant.
I feel like we should do some sort of regular, let's get Rachel to read the rest of that too.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, we just happily, with all of us all on our team, what happens with the ants? Can they get on the boat?
Do the next chapter.
Yeah. Brilliant. Right, let's move on from ant infested waters to your song, which is hopefully not about ants. So now I have no clue what this song is about or who these people are. Tell us what the song is and why you chose it.
Okay, I would describe my musical tastes as being quite malleable and always attached to some sort of nostalgia. So like right up till my early 20s, my favorite singer was like Billy Joel and Elton John, because that's my dad's favorite. And just like car rides with the family and all that.
Yeah,
and I was
if you'd chosen them, I would have heard of them.
I know, exactly. I know. So I suppose what I'm saying is, like, if I was hanging out with you and you played me your music, I'd be like, oh yeah, I like your music. You know, yeah, this is my new, you know, I've even hung out with like my nephews who are into like Avenged Sevenfold and gone and bought albums and stuff because they make it sound so good and I enjoy listening to it with them. Yeah. But actually on my own, I wouldn't listen to it.
Yeah.
So I struggle to find music that I would listen to on my own because nearly everything is linked to a relationship or a context or a mode of being or a style of people to hang out with.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
Are you the same, or I mean, I'm not a purist.
The opposite. I have loads of music that nobody else likes at all except me, and I listen to it endlessly on my noise cancelling headphones, so nobody else has to suffer it. But that probably means you're much more empathetic than me or something, and I'm just that's a really interesting thing actually to only connect a song with a relationship.
Yeah, so I don't know, like Daniel's a big fan of Neil Young, and that's I really like him on certain albums anyway. Do you know what I mean? Nearly every piece of music I like as an adult is something Daniel's introduced me to.
Okay, yeah.
And then stuff that he likes, and then, you know, as a couple you're like, oh, we're going on a car journey, we have to have stuff that we both like. So it's the stuff that he likes that I like enough to say yes, I'll listen to this on the car journey.
The compromise tracks.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't like Neil Young's Noise album, for example. Noisy reverberation feedback ones are just dreadful. But anyway, so this song, I don't know this band. I said to Daniel, this is my favorite song, and he was like, name me the lyrics, and I was like, believe. Nobody knows.
Yes. So that is called Believe Nobody Knows by what are they called again?
My Morning Jacket.
My Morning Jacket. So
I don't know. I don't own their albums. I don't know who they are, where they're from. I don't know. Right. But this song is important to me because Daniel got in the zone of playing this to Ruben to wake him up in the mornings.
Okay.
Gideon has never needed woken up in the mornings ever. They're usually just, but if you're trying to rouse them from a nap, Daniel's very like, it's been half an hour nap, like they need to wake up or they won't sleep tonight. So he's like the king of, I just left them, be like, come on then, let's go. He's like, no, be gentle, we'll take them some really nice music. So this is the song that Daniel would play to Ruben to wake him up from a nap or from sleep.
I love it. So shall we listen to a little clip, and you can all just imagine having a nice little cozy nap, being on the sofa under a rug, and then suddenly this excitement comes into your life. So here we go. This is Believe Nobody Knows, isn't that it? By whatever they were called. What were they called?
My Morning Jacket.
My Morning Jacket. Oh, and this, I should say, is a live recording of it from the Jules Holland show. So you'll get to see what interesting looking people they are.
Time to roll the answer floats on down the farthest shore of the mind. Roll the dice that sail the ship and all the doors will open. On down the line. Believe, nobody knows. Believe, nobody knows for sure.
can you all imagine gradually floating up from slow? Actually, the start of it, the at the start. Yeah, you can kind of imagine gradually awakening.
It's the guitar when the electric guitar. You'd definitely be up.
Yeah.
Turn that off.
Yeah, I quite liked it, and some of that, like stuff about the sailing ships on the shore, like it's quite desert islandy, really. And I suppose that's sort of the chorus of "Believe, believe, believe." Nobody knows for sure. There's a little bit of a refrain or a reference to my encouragement to Nathaniel when he's gone through his massive deconstruction of faith stuff. It's like, well, like believing is a choice, and nobody knows for sure. And I'm not going to get super doctrinal about it and say that I know. I just believe.
Mm-hmm. Is that what the song is about, or do you know what is the?
Oh, I don't know.
Nope, that's just what you take from it.
You can interpret
That's fine too. Yeah.
Cool. I think it would not be on our that. No.
But 3 seconds.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Susan's not on for kind of squawky guitars either. No. Yeah, so but good eclectic choice. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Right, so that's your book and your song. So let's go on to your movie.
Okay. Yeah.
Which definitely is a Bennett approved movie.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, good. I'm so pleased to have it on DVD. I was like, I don't know if you're going to have this one. That's kind of testing. Like, I have them all on DVD, like all movies.
Love it. Remember seeing it in the cinema and just instantly falling in love with it.
Yeah. I think I didn't see it in the cinema. How old was I in 2000? I can't remember. Not cool enough to go to the cinema and watch that.
Seen it in the cinema, depressingly, but yeah. So do you want to tell everyone why you like it?
So my favorite movie. Well, so again, it's back to like my favorite funny movie. Okay, so obviously like there's some real sad movies I could pick, but no, my best funny movie is Best in Show, and I could watch it over and over again. And it's one of those spoof satire movies of the same ilk as A Mighty Wind and Spinal Tap. And I think they do Waiting for Godot one. I haven't seen that one actually.
Yes, Waiting for Guffman.
Waiting for Guffman, yeah, they do Waiting for Guffman, and it's the same sort of gang of funny comedians, but also really thoughtful writers and creators and things. So Michael McCain and Christopher Guest, and like this goes up to 11 man, and Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara that are very popular now thanks to Schitt's Creek on Netflix, and so I'm just a big fan of all these people, and
they kind of invented that genre of
it's ad-libbing, isn't it?
It's mostly improvised, isn't it? And the genre is always that it's like it's a documentary. So it's kind of like The Office does the same thing now, and Parks and Rec and loads of things. It's like it's a documentary, but it's obviously it's not an actual one. But that's they've got characters talking to the camera and doing little interviews and introductions as if they are the subjects of a fly on the wall documentary, which is really funny. Then that you're always just seeing these people. You see them as they want to be seen, and then you also get to see the kind of the funny little oddball characteristics of them when the camera's still rolling.
Yes, and their eccentricities are very transparent.
Yeah.
So they're all just crazy, and you're just like, and you just, and then I picked Best in Show as well because like they're all crazy about their dogs. So it's like it's a documentary about Crufts, like like Spinal Tap is a documentary about a rock band. This is a documentary about Crufts and all these couples that have all these dogs and their relationship with their dogs. They all love their dogs far too much.
Yeah, unbelievable, and they all
like their dogs.
Yes, they're the living proof of that thing of that you are
become like
your dog, or you pick the dog that's most like you.
Yeah, like one of them, like one couple goes to therapy with their dog, and it's all about how depressed their dog is.
Yes, and there's the couple that are very highly strung that have one of those very kind of tense little kind of whippet dogs, and then there's a couple who are very sort of kind of flamboyant, and they have one of those little poodles that's sort of kind of fluffed to within an inch of its life.
And then there's some people who take it very seriously.
This guy that has the big bloodhound, they just look so alike.
Yeah.
Right, well, let's have a little clip of the film, and in this clip, I think possibly of all of the characters, these guys are my favorite, and this is the introduction to this little couple, Jerry and Cookie, just as they are qualifying for the Crufts.
Bring your champions into the ring, please. Thank you. Right on around. Just trot him straight away and back, please.
Well, they couldn't have ordered up a nicer day, I'll say that for him.
I woke up, I was so glad.
Okay, would everybody please fill into line here? Leads up. Let's take them all around. Best of breed, best of winners, best opposite.
Yes! Super. I like to think that Cookie and I work as a team, although I do nothing. She does all the work with Winky. Well, the first time we met was at this big dance, and I just thought she was the prettiest thing that I'd ever seen, and she was there with somebody else. She was very popular back then. She had dozens of boyfriends.
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds.
I did not know that. Hundreds. Well, not that I didn't have a reputation myself, because I was considered, by some to be quite the Casanova myself, back at Ponce de Leon Junior High. But we started dancing.
He didn't want to dance. I was like dancing by myself.
I did not want to dance because...
Say, get up, Jerry.
I kept saying, I can't dance. I can't. I've got 2 left feet. I got 2 left feet.
I thought he was kidding.
But I wasn't. I was born with 2 left feet, and they had a nickname for me. They used to call me Loopy because I would walk in little loops, kept going in circles, and then with some therapy, I learned how to walk a straight line
and dance.
And dance.
Dance.
And dance.
Oh man, you got moves better than Winky, I think.
Well.
There we go. We were trying not to go bah, really loudly over that clip because it's just so good.
Try not to laugh.
So yeah, what is it about the film that just raises it up to favorite level, do you think?
I think it is the group of people that they are. I think I love so much of all the different things that they do. So like Michael McCain, for example, like we are massive fans of Better Call Saul. Mm-hmm. So he's the really difficult protagonist in that, and it really goes into like a really complex family relationships and sibling fallings out and things like that. And I think just having him there, if I was on a desert island, I would want to have him there. And even though he's a funny character, it would remind me of all those things that I love about him and everything else. And then like with Eugene Levy, it's like taking the whole Schitt's Creek crew with you, because you're like, well, if I have those 2 there, and obviously Catherine O'Hara is the one from Home Alone as well. So then you're just like, Kevin, that's her. Yeah. So it's more like, again, it's like the music. It's like that relationship with I have a relationship with the people.
Yes, these are just people that bring happy memories.
Yeah. And it's like they're your friends.
Yeah. And you can just tell they had a really fun time with it, really fun time doing it. And Fred Willard, and that was Daniel's favorite character. He says all the inappropriate things.
Yeah.
And they're all such flawed characters. Even in that little clip, it's just so funny seeing them have their little uncomfortable moment of hundreds. I did not know that. And you just and then there's the running joke the whole way through the movie, isn't it, that literally every male character that they bump into the entire rest of the whole way through the movie has been with
knows her well.
We got together. It was funny. Eugene Levy's always off to the side going, I did not know that. I love it. And the 2 left feet is just the most brilliant thing, but they are such oddballs, but they are so lovable, and that's that kind of just love for people, love for odd people comes through the movie just so clearly, doesn't it?
Yeah, and odd couples, that sense of I thought we were weird.
Yeah.
And they're very likable. A lot of them are very likable, even though you can see right through their weaknesses. They're not very good at covering it up, are they? Everything is.
Yes,
you can see through them all just about
completely, but there's just such a warmth to it. Warm is the word. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's just something.
Kindness.
Good movie. Highly recommended to everybody.
Might watch that now.
Yeah, good choice. Right, one thing left then is your verse. to accompany you on your desert island, which Bible verse will you have on your carved into the bark of a tree?
I remember telling you the answer to that. It was Philippians 4:11.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I have learned to be content. Well, I haven't actually physically looked it up. Hang on.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Well, we're going to have it in a little minute, but that is the gist of it, isn't it? Is the I have been learned to be content in any circumstance, isn't that it?
Yes.
So,
I'm not saying this because I'm in need, but I've learned to be content whatever the circumstances. So I think when I was a younger Christian, I was very happy to be a Christian. As a younger person, and I had that poster on my wall that was like, before Jesus, sad face, but after Jesus, happy face. Yeah. Really like so into it, and not happy clappy in a non-thinking kind of sense, but just like I used to take the little slips home from Belvoir Parish. Remember when the pages, I don't, you before your time, Chris, they used to have an A4 page and it would fold it into 3 in a clever way. So you could open it up. I used to take those pages home. I never been eco-friendly now, and it's all laminated and all.
Yes, you can't take the PowerPoint home with you.
Yes, it's got the Nicene Creed, and it's got the songs of John Key's songs of the day on it. And I used to take them home and just like sing them out my window, and just like be so happy. And so I think that verse really stuck out to me. I suppose when you're a teenager and you have your ups and downs with all your feelings and stuff, I think it became like my mantra to be happy no matter what. Yeah. And then it happened. Yeah, and no matter what's happened, and just that whole sense of being grateful, even though sad things happen and rubbish things happen, like I'm always so grateful and happy and content that I have Jesus in my life. But I've actually picked this verse now because I'm starting to not deconstruct, but reassess that a little bit. I suppose recently, like if you said like pick a Bible verse, and basically bad theology comes from people picking one verse and living by it.
Absolutely.
And that's why Ecclesiastes goes on about there's a time for this and time for that. So I mean, if I just had that as my mantra, and for the years that I have had that as my mantra, like it's really good. It gets you through the stress of exams, it gets you through falling out with your friends when you're in school, it gets you through like I am happy no matter what, and it's not the end of the world, anything that's upsetting me.
Content, an interesting word, as if there's something to it other than happy. Isn't it? I've learned to be content in any
content is not the same thing as happy at all. That's true, but I suppose content is like being satisfied, and being like, oh, that's okay, even though that happened, I'm okay with it. Or even though that happened, I'm okay with it. And I think if any, the darker side of the diamond of that verse is that actually you could deny yourself the full breadth of feelings you might feel in your life, and you can start to have. You can use that verse to deny things. You can use that verse to not say what you want.
Or back to the Poisonwood Bible, to try and just have kind of silly, shallow Christian solutions in the middle of a situation that's actually now is not the time, isn't it? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I think so most recently I started going to some CBT counselling with Debs Nelson at Talk Impossible Mental Health, and she's really helping me with all that sort of stuff. And then there's that Left Side Up community I've started up in Belfast, which is the progressive theology group that are all focused on mental health. And I suppose like I didn't think I ever got PMS until I realized that actually 3 months in a row I ended up fasting on my period. So there's too much information for you, but basically like I would feel like Psalm 63, I am lost without you, Jesus, and I used to be close to you and you're not around, and where are you, and I have failed and I am missing God and I am disconnected, and something is restless in my soul and there's something wrong with me and I'm having a spiritual crisis. And then like I'd be like, I know the answer is to fast and pray, right? So then I'd be like castigating myself and like following the aesthetics and reading the spiritual disciplines, and the hidden power of prayer and fasting, and then end up being hungry, dehydrated, and then bleeding. It's just like, this is miserable. And it happened to me 3 months in a row before I caught on. I just was like, Rachel, you're so stupid.
Like, you are not having a spiritual crisis, you are just feeling sad. Like, and it's okay to feel sad. Like, and God has not gone anywhere. And you don't actually necessarily need to fast. You maybe need to eat chocolate and sit in your bed.
Yes.
You know, and
or you don't need to work your way back to some sort of mountaintop of where you feel like you should be, rather than just going
being
through
the yes, which he's with you in all of that, and no matter what.
And that's just a small example, but I suppose it's like that whole thing of just taking some theology and thinking about how, if you took this to its nth degree, it wouldn't be healthy. So cherry picking from the Bible, taking it to its nth degree, is not, even if you're cherry picking a really good verse. And so I picked this verse partly because I now see all sides of the diamond to it, or some more sides of the diamond to it. And then also reading Paul's context there, he's actually being a bit passive, not passive aggressive, but he's kind of being like, oh, I don't need anything for my birthday. I really do. Like, oh, I don't need a gift. I don't need financial support. But God will provide no matter what.
Yes, but maybe he'll use you.
Click here to donate.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Like,
So
if I was on Desert Island, you know, I might, some days I would honestly hold on to that verse and say, I am content no matter what circumstance. But other days I would ironically scream it at the sky and be like, I'm going to be content. Don't rescue me. I'm fine. No, don't send a rescue helicopter or a boat. Oh no, I like sand. Oh
That's really
So if we usually do the thing now where we sit with the chosen verse for a little minute, but maybe if we do that, we could all actually try and think where we would be on that side of the equation. Would we be saying this despite the circumstances? Would we be shouting it angrily? Would we be saying it peacefully? If I put that, we'll do the usual thing now where I'll put the verse up on the screen, and the waves will roll in on the desert island for a little minute. But just each one of us could just no pressure to have any particular attitude of saying this verse to God. And maybe for some of us there could be it might be a bit more through gritted teeth than for others. And then we'll have a few little prayers from the Iona community, and then one more song, and that will be us nearly finished. So let's just take a wee minute now to sit with this verse and then worship together. Right, let's not watch the movie clip again. And again, with this liturgy, I'll say the leader parts, and then if you want to join Susan in the bold type parts. But actually for this one, most of it is actually times of silence. Thanks be to you, O Christ, for the many gifts you have bestowed on us, each day and night, each sea and land, each weather fair, each calm, each wild. So we bring to God someone whom we have met or remembered today, and for whom we want to pray. And we bring to God someone who is hurting tonight and needs our prayer. And we bring to God a troubled situation in our world tonight. we bring to God someone whom we find hard to forgive or trust. And we bring ourselves to God, that we might grow in generosity of spirit, clarity of mind, and warmth of affection. With people everywhere, we affirm God's goodness at the heart of humanity, planted more deeply than all that is wrong. With all creation, we celebrate the miracle and wonder of life, the unfolding purposes of God, forever at work in ourselves and the world.